Have you seen Cleaner?
Joey, you were late again, so you still owe me an hour. Get in.
What happens when a group of eco-terrorists try to perform their own Die Hard? Well, more of them end up being killed in a coup by anti-humanists in their ranks than by Daisy Ridley playing John McClane. This movie is about Daisy Ridley's ex-army character who is now a window cleaner being stranded on the side of a skyscraper because the building is taken over by eco-terrorists led by Clive Owen. Now you're thinking to yourself, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe even a little fun.
You're wrong.
Because Clive Owens, the eco-terrorist, is killed within the first 40 minutes and is replaced by anti-humanist Noah Santos. And instead of giving us a simple movie about a group of eco-terrorists hijacking a ritzy gala filled with some of the world's worst polluters and forcing them to release statements to the world before robbing them blind, only to be stopped by the ex-army window cleaner? Not ex-army window cleaner, but a window cleaner that used to be in the army. Sorry, right, yeah. And yeah, now I know what you're thinking. That was a weird description. And that's just Die Hard. And yeah, a lot more movies should try to pull off the simple formula of Die Hard. Bad guys hold hostages, bad guys want money, good guy fights bad guy, good guy beats bad guys, good guy saves day.
So me think, why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
Simple. Simple like this movie should have been. But instead we were treated to our hero Daisy Ridley hanging off the side of the building for like 4/5 of the movie? Maybe a touch less? But we don't see Daisy Ridley embrace her full John McClane until the very end. And the big issue with that, as compared to Die Hard, is we don't see her in gritty duels with the bad guys, barely surviving, doing hits and runs. And instead, we're treated to a 5-minute duel where she eliminates everyone she fights except for another female character who gets taken out by a grenade thrown by her brother. And because you shoved the final 15 minutes filled with action and the whole entire first hour and so minutes of the movie is nothing more than just her hanging on the side of the building, it's very unsatisfying. And we don't see her transform into this action hero like we do in Die Hard. And another comparison to Die Hard, the bad guy reveal. Who is he? And I mean Noah, because once again, they kill Owen off in the first 40. But the movie just outright reveals him to Daisy Ridley, like right after she sees the bad guys taking hostages.
What's that, Jerry? And there was me thinking that you never gave us a second look.
They didn't even give us a little Hans moment. When watching Die Hard, we know Hans Gruber is the bad guy, and that it's John McClane's wariness in what saves him from being killed by Hans. In this, nope, here's the reveal. Nothing else. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry. I just went on a rant for my displeasure of this movie and how I will never get my time back from watching it. So before I jump into a list of negatives I have for this movie, let me mention the director and writers of this film. Cleaner's director is Martin Campbell. Oh, you don't know him. Martin Campbell, his heyday was back in 95 to 2006, where he directed movies like GoldenEye, Mask of Zorro, and Casino Royale. You know, some really big hitters, but because there's a but, his career kind of fell off in 2011 after, I don't think he wants anyone to remember. He directed Green Lantern. And ever since then, well, it's been downhill for the guy. In 2017, he directed The Foreigner, starring Jackie Chan. In 21, he directed The Protege with Maggie Q. 2022, Memory with Liam Neeson. And in 24, he wrote and directed Dirty Angels with Eva Green. Not a single one of those movies has an IMDb score over 5.5. In fact, the last two movies are in the 30% range, so his career has bottomed out. He's now the guy that you call to make schlocky action movies with washed up actors. But I'm going to believe that he isn't to blame for everything and put it more on the 3 writers for this movie. Out of the 3 writers, one of them doesn't have a wiki, and that's Simon Uttley. Simon Uttley, since 2016, has written 3 abysmally reviewed movies: Alley Cats, Blood, Sweat, and Terrors, and Cleaner. All 3 of them sit at a 5 or less on IMDb. Also, it should also be mentioned that he inserted himself in this movie as the police helicopter sniper. The other 2 writers are Matthew Orton and Paul Andrew Williams. Matthew Orton wrote 1 episode of Moon Knight, which was well received with an 8.8 review. He also wrote a TV show for Tubi called Devil's Peak with a middle-of-the-road rating, and a movie back in 2018 called Operation Finale. So based on that, he seems to be a middle-of-the-road writer. Not bad, sometimes verging on good. Wait. He also wrote the reshoot scenes for Captain America Brave New World. I take back everything I said. And the final writer is Paul Andrew Williams. And based on his movies, I assume this was his screenplay that he handed over to be made, only for it to be wrecked. Well, that's if only where we're talking about movies or TV shows he's also directed, which generally are good, like Broadchurch. But fact is, most of his written work is also middle of the road. So what happens when you bring in 3 guys who write scripts, and then you add in a washed up director and tell them to reinvent Die Hard? You get this. So let's talk about everything wrong with this movie. Number 1, it doesn't go full Die Hard while mimicking as much as possible about Die Hard. Much of the movie just steals several elements from Die Hard, but doesn't just commit to remaking Die Hard with a woman. It has throwing bodies from windows, attacking and blowing up people with C4. Sure, it was turned around in Die Hard, but still. Terrorists seizing control of a party, not to steal money, but Clive Owen still might have wanted to. We'll never know. And a crazy blonde gal. Oh, and an endangered family member. And I might have to go watch Die Hard again, but I'm pretty sure there's other elements there as well. Number 2, abusive father origin story. The opening of this movie tells us why Daisy Ridley's character is a great climber. I mean, kind of. So as a child, her father was very abusive, mainly targeting her autistic brother. And in order for her to, I guess, deal with the trauma, she turned every surface into a rock wall. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's why she can climb the rope on a window washer carriage and stand on the smallest ledge of a window while dodging a C4 explosion 10 feet on the other side of the wall. Yep, not backpacking or rock wall climbing, not even the special military training. It was abusive dad. Yay! It's a horrible origin story.
Cry, and I'll give you something to cry about, you little
Number 3, the autistic brother and his Mjolnir. I'm only mentioning the hammer because they talk about Avengers and Marvel movies, which, okay. Another reason for bringing up the brother is that he doesn't do anything. The wife in Die Hard is there to hear exposition and give our hero something to fight for, while also giving us a reason for why John McClane is in LA. And this, Michael, the brother, he's only there because he got kicked out of his home after stealing and leaking their information, and Ridley didn't know where to take him. So she just brought him to work and placed him in timeout in the lobby from morning to night. Or at least, mid-afternoon to night. But still, he sat in the lobby. And he's not held captive by the bad guys either, so most of the exposition that we hear through the bad guys actually directed either at tech support, Clive Owen, the female police officer, or the environmental rich bad guy. So he doesn't play a purpose. In fact, near the middle or end of the movie, Ridley knows where her brother is, and he doesn't face danger, or not that much. I mean, there was a couple of times he had to hide out, but it's just another example of why Die Hard is a superior movie. Number 4, the bad guys don't know how to use the internet. I don't know why, but the bad guys in this movie go around recording the confessions of all these environmental polluters, be they millionaires or politicians who help the bad guys become millionaires. But they keep waiting to release the recordings. And I don't know why. They plan to blow themselves up after getting all the confessions and release them onto the internet. but they could have done that when they seized control of the gala. So instead of releasing hostage footage of people confessing to a crime while they're alive, they're going to wait until after their death to release hostage footage of people confessing to a crime. That doesn't make any sense. In fact, as a 4B that I'm tagging on right now, if they just recorded the confessions and released it to the internet via live stream, then there would be no reason for Noah and Ridley's duel at the end of the movie. He could just fling himself out the window without worrying about being caught and take out a bunch of polluters that he planned on killing anyways. I don't know why he didn't just live stream the confessions, but I guess the reason why is because if he did, we would have never gotten our Ridley Santos duel that made the movie especially corny at the very end. Oh, and Ridley ends up taking home the confessions and releasing it after her and the police chief have a little wink and a nod to each other. So, I mean, if they just live streamed it while they held them hostage, this movie. So, I gotta apologize. Sorry that my review is half explaining why I disliked the movie and half gushing over Die Hard. But I didn't want to attack this movie solely for having an actress who made a series of movies that I didn't like. Instead, I just tried to focus on a close comparison to another movie that should have been used as a guide in order to bring this movie to glory. Instead, we're given a thriller setting, with i.e. Ridley on the side of the building trapped, and an action-oriented premise, Owen taking over Gala. And the movie failed on both parts. We didn't get any thriller or suspense of Ridley trapped, desperately trying to get inside the building. And the action in this movie didn't come about until the very end of the movie with 20 minutes left. And instead of setting up Ridley's character as this badass ex-army soldier who does hit-and-run tactics, we instead have her cower, beg, and then finally overpower everybody at the end. It just felt very unsatisfying. It just ruined what could have been a return to the basic formula of Die Hard. But that's my review, and slightly a love letter for Die Hard. Outside of that, you guys have a good one. Bye.